Alright guys, how are you all doing? I'm Fiesta here, and today we have some interesting news. Firstly, we have AMD Radeon RX 7900 XT reference model already dropping in price in Newegg. ASUS and Noctua introduces the RTX 4080 again, which is interesting. AMD announced their Radeon 7000 mobile series with RDNA 3 architecture. AMD is reportedly planning Ryzen 7 7800X 3D Zen 4 processor with V-Cache, of course, 3D V-Cache. And AMD Ryzen 7000X 3D series might be coming sooner than we can expect, so I mean, it's gonna be very much interesting. So firstly, we have Newegg selling the Radeon RX 7900 XT, which is the 20 gigs model, and well, basically it's priced at $879 surprisingly. So basically $880. Basically $20 cut down in pricing for the reference model, and already we're seeing drop in pricing, and it hasn't been that long since it was launched, so it's a good indication that we might be seeing some good pricing and good deal, and well, basically for the Radeon graphics. We'll be seeing more from the Nvidia also, but now there's some price drop. It seems like it's gonna be very much fun to buy, I guess, because drop price, good for buyers. Yeah. Next up, we have ASUS and Noctua introduces the RTX 4080, and if you look into it, that's basically the same design as the previously 3070 Ti, I believe, that they launched. So, yeah, it looks really, really nice. And basically, it's not a 3-slot, not 3-slot, it's a 4.3 slot card, I believe. So kind of thick, kind of makes sense because this cooler here is very much thick from Noctua, and kind of makes sense because Noctua fans are the superior fans all over the world, so kind of makes sense. And also the fin design, well, it's just basically the same cooler, but or you could say the same design that they went through, the owl design. Well, Noctua doesn't mean owl if I'm not wrong, so yeah, like that really looks interesting. They also have these features available. So basically, this RTX 4080 Noctua edition will have the quietest air-cooled graphics card in its class, which kind of makes sense. Noctua fans, the two Noctua NFA12X25 PWM fans will be delivered with this model, and there's going to be a dual BIOS switch, which obviously the quiet mode and the performance mode switching capability. So that's really nice. And they also have the 0 dB, basically no RPM, like 0 RPM, basically technology, or not really 0 RPM. It's like there's no sound. Yeah, which makes sense because they're going for the quietest air-cooled graphics, and obviously 0 decibels kind of makes sense. Not 0 RPM. I'm wrong about that. 0 decibels means no sound technically. So yeah, there's been some GPU tweaks. 3 provides intuitive performance tweaking, basically a monitoring tool like a software, but to be honest, you can just use MSI anyway. But yeah, if you want to use it, you can use it. So yeah, that's some good amount of things. And they also updated, as I said before, this is a 4.3 slot card, so kind of thick. Yeah, it is quite thick. So I mean, to be honest, I don't mind. This is a beautiful card. RGB, get out of here. We need Noctua. Next up, we have AMD announced their mobile lineup for the Radeon graphics, and we have the RX 7600M and the 7600 MXT, I believe. So if you look into it, there it is, the RX 7600M for laptops, and that's these are the two graphics that gonna be well enough for the 1080p gaming, and that's the RX 7600M XT and the 7600M. So the 7600M XT coming with the 32 FP32 teraflops basically, and the memory size is gonna be 8 gigs, but the bus is very low, 128. 7600M coming at 28 teraflops, again the same amount of memory, so I really like that from AMD, and memory gonna be the same, 128. They also have the Radeon RDNA 3 architecture, and 81 encode and decoding we're gonna be supporting, so that's nice. New smart technologies, I believe when we find it, we will get it. Yeah, this is the die size basically, 204 millimeters square, and they're using the 6 atom process node, probably TSMC, so yeah, that's really interesting. We also have performance numbers from AMD, so this is not the third party, this is the first party, so take it as a grain of salt, even though NVIDIA really doesn't lie all the time, or I should say AMD, not NVIDIA. NVIDIA do lie for some reason. Anyway, AMD provided these performance metrics. We don't know if this is true or not, but we'll still look into it. So in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, it's getting 100 FPS. And by the way, it is compared with RTX 3060 and 3060 12 gigs and 8 gigs, which is the desktop model. So surprisingly, they're comparing the desktop model with the mobile lineup. So that's crazy. It is very crazy that they're going for that. And it's also beating the RTX 3060 and 3060 12 gigs and 8 gigs, of course. Which kind of makes sense, obviously, because, this is the newer architecture compared to the last gen architecture from NVIDIA. So yeah, it kind of makes sense. So Assassin's Creed Valhalla is getting 100 FPS, and the rest of the two is getting 83 and 72 respectively. And Borderlands 3 is getting 106, very much way ahead. That makes sense. Dart 5, 103. Like, I'm surprised that they're comparing the graphics on desktop, not the mobile. So that's a bold claim, I have to say. But if it is the case, that is a huge improvement. Dart 5 is getting 103. The Division 2 getting 120. Hitman 3, 184. Like, still, like 24 FPS lead here. Like, that's pretty good. Horizon Zero Dawn getting 117. Shadow of the Tomb Raider getting a 142. The Witcher 3, 136, and PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, 145. Here, maybe it loses to RTX 3060, but still, like, all over the place, it's a really nice performance. And the thing is, this is not even a fair comparison, because this is not the 3060 mobile, it's 3060 desktop. But you know what? They're still winning, so I don't mind. They also introduced the thin and lightweight gaming GPU nodes, basically. And we also have RX 7700S and the 7600S. So if you look into it, they have a power limit of 75 to 100, and for the 7600S we have 50 to 75. So these are lower tier nodes, basically, and it makes sense. It's gonna be going for the notebooks, the 10 notebooks. So yeah, makes sense. And we also have some gaming performance, and this time they're comparing with the previous gen 6700S, the 10 one, obviously. And basically they're gonna be winning. Makes sense, all over the place. So that's nice. And here we have the complete lineup. So as you can see, the 7600M XT is gonna be going at 75 to 120 watts power limit, which kind of makes sense, top of the line for now, I believe. The 7600M going for 50 to 90. The 7700S is going to be performing like 75 to 100 watts, which I've already mentioned. And the 7600S going for 50 and 75. So yeah, the compute units, in terms of compute units, you can see the 7700S and the 7600M XT goes the same, and vice versa for the other two. So yeah, and the memory speed, there are some also the same for, the top of the line for the 7600 MXT and the 7700S. So yeah, you can take that into mind, and you can just calculate it, and it just makes sense. But yeah, still the 7600M is XT, and the 7600M looks very much impressive in terms of like performance. We have to see the third-party benchmarks to see the full picture, so I guess we have to wait. Next up, we have Moore's Law is Dead giving this information here, and he says that AMD is preparing an R7 7800X3D that lines up perfectly with the Zen 4 VCAche performance that he leaked last year. So there's a link here that you can look into the leaked video. So basically, they're preparing Ryzen 7 7800X3D performance, and he did leak this. And in this picture, you can clearly see the Rainbow Six Siege getting a 21% lead. A Warhammer Dawn of War getting 22% lead compared to the Ryzen 7 5800X3D. CSGO getting 23%, and the Dota 2 is getting 30%. So he did leak this a year ago. That was way long ago. And now we're still getting information, but we also have some follow-up information here, and that is that we already have AMD announcing the X3D. We don't have to depend on the leaks anymore, because they already announced it. And not just the Ryzen 7 7800X3D, we have all of them. The Ryzen 9 and the Ryzen 7950X3D and the 7900X3D, alongside with the 7800X3D. So yeah, they have already launched it. So we don't have to rely on the leaks anymore, because there is the information. And if you look into it, the core parts remain the same. The core, 16 core, 12 core, and 8 core is the same. In terms of boost clock, we look into it, it's a 5.7 maximum for the Ryzen 9 7950, the 5.6 for the Ryzen 9 7900X3D, and the 7800X3D we're getting 5 GHz. and the base clock will 4.2, 4.4, and it hasn't been announced yet. But the main focus here, we already know, is a 3D X3D processor. The cache memory will be very much higher. So the Ryzen 9 7950 X3D getting 144 megabytes. Oh boy, that's huge. That's not, nobody expected that, literally. The Ryzen 9 7900 X3D also 140 megabytes, and the 7800 X3D is getting 104. Still quite high. And well, the TDP is also getting a bit higher, 120 watts for all of them. So yeah, these are the three SKUs that AMD has already announced it, and it will be coming in February. Don't know when, but yeah, February is coming. So not too far off. Literally, we're already in 5th January. So yeah, I'm excited. Alright, that is it for today. What do you think about the Ryzen 7000 X3D? Because already we know that 5800 X3D is still one of the best gaming CPUs out there. So what do you think? Will 7800 X3D will win that crown? Well, obviously they would. Looking at the leaked benchmarks there, that kind of suggests that it would. But I'm thinking, what about Ryzen 9 7950 X3D? I mean, that can also go crazy, hopefully. So we'll see. And of course, the Noctua edition, I kind of love that. The RTX 4080 Noctua edition, it just looks beautiful. Better than RGB, literally. Anyway, have a good day and like, share, and subscribe. See ya.